Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. For those who are new here, my name is Nikki. I'm an author and editor and I post videos here on YouTube about writing, editing, reading and all the other things I love. And today we're here to do a booktube tag. And this is the TBR tag. So I have my questions at the ready. I'm just going to fold them over so I've got the right ones in front of me here. And I will just say before I start answering them that I'm filming this about 4 months or so in advance of when it's going to go live. I'm just doing a fair bit of pre-planning at the moment just so I can get a bit ahead of myself and that way I'm never late posting if something comes up or I have unexpected hold-ups, technical problems or anything like that. So I'm filming 1 or 2 vlogs in advance, about sort of 4 or 5 months in advance, just so I've got some content ready for you in case anything goes wrong, and the rest I'll just film as it happens. So it does mean that some of the answers may be mildly out of date when you come to read this, but I don't think in this instance it particularly will be a problem. So, kicking us straight off, how do you keep track of your TBR pile? This is twofold for me. I do have Goodreads account, so I do list any books to read on there, and I also run a TBR section in my bullet journal where I mark off as I read things and also include notes on what star rating I gave it, a few thoughts ready for when I film my end of the month book review roundup blogs. So with that in mind though, I would say that for me a TBR pile is not the same as a wish list. I have a wish list on Book Depository where I have books that I want to get and want to read. For me a TBR pile are ones that I actually physically have, whether that's ebook or print. So to me a TBR is not a wish list, so my TBR pile tends to be reasonably small because it's only ones that I want to read and I have actually got hold of copies of. Whereas my wish list on Book Depository are books that I do want to read but I haven't yet bought or received or found a way to get a copy of. So I know for some people TBR pile means a wish list as well, but that's not the case for me, so I just thought I'd make that clear because that will affect the answers on some of the questions as we carry on. Next question, is your TBR mostly print or ebook? I would say it's currently about 65% ebook and 35% print. Around 60-40 is usually where it's at because I get a lot of ARCs review copies that are ebook, so that bumps the ebooks up a bit, but on the whole I'd say I read probably about 60-40 ebook to print. It's reasonably equal. Next question, how do you determine which book from your TBR to read next? Obviously because I am getting review copies via NetGalley or directly from publishers and authors, those have to take priority if I'm reading them by a deadline. Obviously the NetGalley ones expire after a certain period and review ones I may need to get my review out at a certain date. So that would be my first port of call in choosing a book. Next up might be length. If I've just finished a couple of really long ones, sometimes it's nice just to read 1 or 2 short ones and break things up a little bit. And then after that it just depends on my mood. Perhaps I'll feel in the mood for a classic or I'll feel in the mood for a speculative fiction. So those are probably the 3 ways I work through and decide what to read next. Next question, a book that's been on your TBR pile the longest? Probably the Decameron, Boccaccio. I actually have a copy, it'd be above my head here somewhere, in Italian, which I bought for practice, but I found the medieval Italian a little bit tough. So I do need to get a copy in English, and it's just been sitting on my wish list at the Book Depository for ages, and eventually I will grab it and read it, and then I might attempt the Italian again when I can have the English as a sort of reference point. Next, a book you recently added to your TBR pile. The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann has recently joined my wish list. I recently read a book of one of those, 1001 books you ought to read before you die kind of things, and this was one that was on there, and it's one that I've come across a number of times, and it's one of those classics that you think I really ought to have read that already. So it is on my wish list at the Book Depository, and eventually I will get to it. A book in your TBR strictly because of its beautiful cover? I don't think there are any. The covers absolutely draw me in and they can be the first thing that appeal to me about a book, but they won't be the sole reason I would buy one. I wouldn't buy it just for a pretty cover. I'd have to also be interested in the blurb, find the blurb well written, find the story captivates me and hooks me and makes me want to read the book. so there are none that I would buy just for a beautiful cover. A book on your TBR that you never plan on reading. Probably Tristram Shandy by Stern, simply because I've tried it twice and both times after a couple of chapters I've given up. I would really love to get through it. It's probably one of my bucket list items to finally get through Tristram Shandy, but although classics on the whole I'm really good with reading, I don't have a problem reading any classics from any period, that one just really gets me, and for some reason I just can't get into it. An unpublished book on your TBR that you're excited for. This is probably the final part of the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden. Really enjoyed the first 2 books and I'm excited to see how the series is going to end. A book on your TBR that basically everyone's read but you. Bonfire of Vanities by Tom Wolfe is probably another one of those that's really famous, really popular, and I just haven't gotten to it yet, so I do want to at some point get there. A book on your TBR pile that everyone recommends to you. Well, I keep hearing a lot about the Shades of Magic series by Victoria Schwab, and I'd really like to give that a try, but I haven't got around to it yet, and yet I keep seeing so many people talking about it on Instagram particularly lately. And a book on your TBR that you're dying to read. I'm really looking forward to The House of the Dead by Dostoevsky. It's one I've got in print, a copy sitting over on my coffee table just behind where the camera is there, and I will be getting to it. Probably by the time this video goes live, actually, I will have read it. I'm really looking forward to it. And finally, how many books are on your Goodreads TBR shelf? As I explained, my TBR shelf is not a wish list. It's really is books that I literally have on my pile. So as such, it usually hovers around the 30 odd book mark. As we're talking today, I think I have something like 35 on there. So it's always fairly manageable, reasonable. Ideally, I like to keep it to around 20 to 25, but there is a few extra on there at the moment. So that was the TBR tag. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to do the tag, I'm going to put all the information below. I'm not going to call anyone out, but do feel free to join me if it appeals to you. I've had great fun doing this tag, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to it. I will end there, but I'll be back very soon with another vlog for you. Bye for now, everyone.